My secret crush failed, and the moment I saw Julian drop to one knee for someone else, I chose a marriage of convenience. My convenient groom looked every inch the ascetic, yet his mouth was shameless. Adrian sank his teeth into my neck. "Scarlett, is this pressure all right?" On my fair skin flared tiny, delicate plum blossoms of red. But Julian refused to accept it. Bloodshot eyes demanded to know why I no longer loved him. Adrian curled an arm around my waist and slanted Julian a look. "No mirror at home? Haven't taken a leak either? You're ugly, get it?" "I do." Lydia's shy vow traveled through every speaker in the ballroom. I tilted my head and emptied the flute of champagne. The cold cascade down my throat did nothing to douse the searing in my chest. 8 years, high school to now, I had stood behind him, watching him cycle through girlfriends, forever waiting for a glance back that never came. Only minutes earlier I'd overheard him chatting with his best buddy about the proposal. "Julian, if you're asking Lydia, what happens to Scarlett?" I hid in a corner, masochistically awaiting his verdict, nursing a last fragile hope. Julian frowned, plainly puzzled. "Scarlett's just my kid sister." "What crap are you spouting?" "Don't let Lydia hear it, she'll be mad and I won't let any of you off." I froze. The word sister rang in my skull like a gong, drenching me in ice. My fingers trembled so hard the coupe slipped, champagne bleeding into the crimson carpet and over my couture gown, miserable. Julian merely straightened his tux, ready to step on stage, never noticing I existed. We met in high school. That year my parents were divorcing, neither wanted me, kicking me back and forth like a ball. I ran out of the house and literally ran into Julian on his way to play ball. He soothed my sobs and said, "If they don't want you, I want Scarlett." I looked up at him, sunbright, sincere, and from then on he was the dawn in my darkest hour. I clung to him. The MC was now proclaiming Lydia and Julian's fairy tale romance in ringing tones. At the emotional high point the couple exchanged tender smiles, the crowd clapped and urged them to kiss. A sour burn shot to my eyes. I inhaled, found an unnoticed corner, and sat. "Sinclair, have you considered?" A low male voice drifted over, accompanied by a white linen handkerchief. I lifted my gaze into fathomless eyes. Tonight Adrian wore a flawlessly cut black suit that made his already cool aura almost monastic. Beneath the straight bridge of his nose, those thin lips were vividly red, mesmerizing when they moved. He lazily traced the rim of his glass, fingers aristocratically elegant. I thanked him, took the handkerchief, and dabbed my skirt. "I accept," I heard myself say, "with one condition." Adrian arched a brow, inviting me. 1 year. If we still can't love each other, we divorce. He chuckled, long fingers tipping my chin. "Sinclair, you misunderstand me." His thumb brushed my lower lip. "I'm a qualified businessman, I never lose money on a deal." Before I could react, his arm encircled my waist and he whispered, "If we're performing, let's make it convincing." The next second his mouth covered mine, sudden, domineering yet gentle, laced with a trace of agave. Instinctively I shut my eyes, gasps exploded around us. "Adrian!" Julian's voice cracked with disbelief and fury. Behind him stood Lydia, complexion bloodless. Adrian freed my lips but kept me locked against him, meeting Julian's rage. He stayed unruffled. He glanced at Julian with leisurely indifference. "President Hartwell, congratulations on your engagement. Now, excuse me while I leave with my girlfriend." He laced our fingers, palm warm, inexplicably reassuring. Outside, the night breeze brushed my face. Adrian slipped his tuxedo over my shoulders. "Cold?" I shook my head, yet he tucked me closer. His fingertips grazed my wrist. "Sorry for the kiss, but for the audience's sake it had to look real." I looked up, moonlight carved his profile, straight nose, long lashes fanning shadows, stature like a cedar, jade perfect. This man looked ascetic, yet every gesture was lethal magnetism. "Sterling," I murmured, "why me?" He stopped and faced me. Silver moonlight edged his shoulders, constellations swam in his eyes, and in them I saw myself. "Because," his fingers caressed my cheek, the instant I saw you, I knew you were who I'd been searching for." His earnestness skipped my heartbeat. I averted my face. "It's only a contract." "Really?" He laughed softly. "Then why are your ears scarlet?" I reached to hide them. He caught my wrist. His lips grazed my ear. "Scarlet, is this pressure all right?" I shivered, and heard hurried footsteps behind. "Scarlet!" Julian burst out, "Ty Askew," cheeks flushed with alcohol. Why him?" Adrian stepped in front of me, voice glacial. "President Hartwell, control yourself. I've known her 8 years." Julian's eyes were red. "What right do you have, the right that she is now my girlfriend?" Julian clenched his fists. "Scarlet, you loved me, why?" So he had always known, he'd simply chosen to watch in silence. My heart twisted, these years of feeling were a farce. "It's Scarlet," Adrian cut in, "and the president is rather intimate with my fiancé. I get jealous easily. Also, no mirror? Still haven't taken a leak? You're ugly, so she stopped loving you. Understand?" What had been pain turned to laughter I couldn't stifle. Julian's face blackened. Adrian steered me away, arm around my waist, and whispered, "Scarlet, I really can't stand him. Don't play with him anymore." The comment struck me as oddly adorable. Our engagement came faster than I expected. Adrian seemed impatient, yet every necessary detail was flawless. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling mirror in the ballroom, staring at my reflection in the white couture gown. Every inch of the Italian couture gown, hem and bodice, was strewn with tiny diamonds that caught the ambient lighting and scattered it like shattered starlight. My fingertips brushed the diamond necklace at my throat. Adrian had clasped it there this morning himself. "Scarlet, according to our customs we still have to wait 6 months after the engagement before the actual wedding," he'd complained, chin nestled in the curve of my shoulder. "My 1-year countdown with Scarlet doesn't start until we're married, so right now it doesn't even count." I hadn't known whether to laugh or cry. The man who could tear apart a boardroom was acting like a coaxing Doberman, even the tips of his hair drooping in grievance. "So what's the difference?" "It's still a full year." "I don't care." Warm lips drifted across my nape. He'd pulled a necklace from his pocket, the cold diamonds making me shiver. "Indulge me, after all, I brought you a present. And another thing, once we're engaged, Scarlet, we can live together." His smile had turned sly. Shoo. Adrian's finger had rested on my lips. "No refusing, there's a surprise waiting. Sinclair, it's time." The toastmaster's soft knock snapped me back to the present. "All right." I nodded. I slipped my hand through Charles's arm. The ballroom doors swung open, and there at the far end of the crimson carpet stood Adrian, razor-sharp in a tailored black tuxedo. His gaze sliced through the crowd and pinned me, those usually glacial eyes now brimming with tenderness. The engagement ceremony flowed without a hitch, until the toasts. "Congratulations, Scarlet." A voice I knew too well iced my spine. I turned slowly. Chase stood before me with a flute of champagne, mercifully alone, and I exhaled in relief. He was Julian's oldest friend. Back when I'd tailed Julian like a shadow, we'd nodded across dozens of parties. I gave him a polite smile. "Never thought you'd get engaged so fast," he said, swirling the champagne, hesitating. "Julian's family hit some trouble. He's overseas and probably doesn't even know." "It doesn't matter," I replied, shaking my head. "Isn't his wedding to Lydia coming up soon?" "Lydia? That wedding's been cancelled," he answered, surprised. "You hadn't heard?" I blinked. "No, what happened?" "The person Julian actually loves is you." Chase's sentence snapped in half when his gaze landed on someone behind me. Adrian appeared, sliding an arm around my waist, fingers subtly tightening. I glanced up, his expression hadn't shifted, the perfect society smile still in place. "Hartwell," he said, voice low and pleasant, "thank you for coming to my fiancée Scarlett's engagement." He weighted the word fiancé. Let's not waste breath on irrelevant people. Chase's smile froze. With a genial look that didn't reach his eyes, Adrian murmured, "Scarlett, I feel dizzy, could you fetch me some water?" Alarmed, I asked, "Dizzy? Sit down, I'll get it." The instant I stepped away, Adrian's face turned arctic. "Hartwell, if your friend isn't busy enough with his family's meltdown, I can always pile on more." Chase's eyes bulged. "You sabotaged the Hartwells, forced Julian overseas so he couldn't disrupt this engagement." Disrupt? Adrian gave a soft laugh. "He's not worth the trouble. I simply refuse to let Scarlett be hurt. Tell Julian this, coveting another man's wife invites retribution." He strode off without the slightest wobble, leaving Chase gaping. After the banquet, Adrian ushered me into the car. "You drank. You can't drive." I reached to stop him. He winked. "I drank sparkling water." Then the dizziness, a white lie. I didn't want Scarlett talking to other men. I huffed in mock anger. "You dared to trick me? Is Scarlett angry?" He curved a smile. "Even angry, Scarlett is adorable." I was helpless. The Maybach glided through the night. I reclined the seat he'd adjusted for me and watched the city lights streak past. The cabin was laced with cedar from his skin and the ghost of tequila, a scent that lulled me. "What are you thinking?" His low voice broke the hush. I turned, his eyes were on me. Shadows and dashboard light painted his face, making those intent eyes even deeper. "I was thinking." I hesitated, "We should set some ground rules for this marriage." He chuckled, long fingers drumming the wheel. "Such as?" "Such as," I tried to look severe, "no meddling in each other's private life, no." A sudden break hurled me forward, his arm shot out to anchor me. "Sorry," he said, voice suddenly cold. "Cat." Through the windshield an orange tabby sauntered across the road. When I looked back, Adrian's color was off. "Adrian?" He exhaled, eased the car into gear again. "You said, no interference in private life?" I nodded. "And if," his tone turned dangerous in the dark, "your private life jeopardizes our marriage?" I froze. What did he mean? Before I could answer, we stopped at the Sterling waterfront mansion. He unbuckled and faced me. "Scarlett, if you choose to marry me, be prepared for what that means." His sudden gravity raised goosebumps. His fingers grazed my cheek. "I don't share what's mine." My heartbeat spiked. This man, so cold and restrained, now burned with a gaze I couldn't hold. Did he think I wanted someone else? I began, but he leaned in, breath warm at my ear. "Out you get," he said, calm again. "Giles is waiting." Only then did I notice an elderly man standing at the entrance of the Sterling waterfront mansion, smiling at us. Adrian had already stepped out. He circled to my side and opened the door. "Sir, madam," Giles greeted with a deferential bow, "the room is ready." I followed them inside, but the interior decor stunned me, pared back West European minimalism, yet every inch screamed luxury. Beyond the soaring glass wall lay a private garden where moonlit roses bloomed in ghostly color. A cool night breeze drifted in, carrying their hidden fragrance. "Do you like roses?" Adrian asked from behind me. I nodded, turned, and walked straight into his chest. He slid an arm around my waist. "Your room's on the second floor. I'll take you up." The heat of his palm seeped through my thin blouse, making me uneasy. I tried to wriggle free, he only held me tighter. "Adrian." "Say my name." He dipped his head. "Adrian." I parted my lips, but no sound came. He chuckled softly and let go. "No rush, we have a year." He led me to the master suite on the second floor. When the door swung open, the design amazed me again, the Nordic palette I loved, pale gray walls, raw coffee table, graphic art prints that actually had wit. "This is furnished for you," he said, lounging against the jamb. I had someone check. I stared. The man had tracked even this. Marble baths on the right. The walk-in closet stocked. Anything else, tell Green. I nodded, then remembered. And you? I'm next door. He pointed across the hall. Relax, until you say yes, I won't cross the line. I exhaled, part relief, part inexplicable disappointment. Reading me, he curved his mouth in a knowing smile. Good night, Scarlett. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, 9 tomorrow morning. Come to Sterling with me. Why? Because, he glanced back, eyes glinting, you're already my fiancé. Morning light poured through the glass wall. I surfaced from sleep, blinking at an unfamiliar ceiling. A heartbeat later I remembered, I now lived in Adrian's mansion. On the nightstand lay a crisp navy pantsuit that felt custom-made, and a note, 9 o'clock. Don't be late, Sterling. Adrian title scorched my cheeks, the man owned a million cheeky names. I checked the time, 8:20. I washed, dressed, and discovered the tailoring fit perfectly. Downstairs, Adrian sat reading the financial news. A charcoal suit replaced his usual icy armor, the white shirt was undone just enough to show the sharp arc of his collarbone. Hearing me, he lifted his gaze and let it linger. Looks perfect on you. He killed the TV and waved me to the table. Giles appeared with my favorite custard buns. I gaped at Adrian, he sipped his espresso as if nothing had happened. How did you know my size? He knew everything, more than my own parents. He set the cup down. A husband should know his wife's details. My heart stuttered, I focused on the bun. A memory intruded, Julian once gave me clothes too, a dress that didn't fit. I'd been ecstatic, until I learned it was a cast-off from his girlfriend after a spat. When confronted, Julian never apologized, he only shrugged. Too big? I thought you were about her size. Toss it if you can't wear it. I should have known I mattered nothing to him. He wasn't that wonderful, my affection had simply gilded him. Our memories held more bitterness than sweetness, I'd just deleted the sour parts, hunting for candy in broken glass. Adrian's gaze brushed me, light but unmistakable, and I shifted. At 9 sharp we left. When the Maybach halted before Sterling Tower I drew a steadying breath. He exited first, came around, and opened my door like a gentleman. As I stood, he bent to my ear. Take my arm. I did. His forearm felt steely, furnace-hot even through wool. The instant we crossed the lobby, murmurs erupted. Morning, Sterling. Good morning, Sterling. I kept a polite smile. Inside the private lift he said, nice performance. Why are they calling me Sterling? He watched the floor numbers climb. I emailed HR last night. If not for the faint tilt at the corner of his mouth I'd have imagined the praise. The lift opened onto the executive floor. His corner office overlooked the entire city. On the vast desk sat a silver frame, my high school photo. This? I picked it up, stunned. 8 years ago, he said behind me, at Xingyang High's graduation. First time I saw you. 8 years? You danced green on stage, he went on, voice low. I still haven't forgotten it. I spun around and met eyes like starshot ink. His fingertips brushed the glass. From that day, I've been waiting for my opening. My pulse sped. He'd watched me for 8 whole years? Adrian, he gave a plaintive smile. I met you first, yet you never noticed. Say Adrian. He leaned in until our foreheads nearly touched. The door burst open. Sterling, Wong panted, Hartwell of Hartwell is here, asking for you, and the lady. Adrian's gaze iced over. Straightening his cuff, he said, send him in. The moment Julian walked in, I instinctively edged closer to Adrian. That tiny motion seemed to amuse him, he slipped an arm around my waist. When Julian stepped through the door I almost didn't recognize him. His hair was unkempt, as if he hadn't seen a barber in weeks, a blue-black stubble shadowed his jaw, purple bruises of exhaustion ringed his eyes, and the reek of stale liquor clung to him, nothing like the polished golden boy he used to be. "Hartwell," Adrian drawled, ice-cold mockery lacing the title, "finished sorting out your family affairs?" "Flying back to Eastbrook last night just to grace Scarlett's and my engagement party, how honored I am. Pity the ceremony's already over. I'll be sure to mail you an invitation to the wedding." "Adrian, you bastard." Julian's gaze landed on me, a flash of pain cracking across his face. "Scarlett, can we talk, alone?" "I'm afraid not," Adrian answered for me. "She's my wife now." "Adrian." Julian's voice shot up. "Don't push it." "Push it?" Adrian snorted. "Hartwell, need I remind you who got down on one knee and proposed to someone else in front of half the city last month?" Julian's complexion blanched. He stared at me, voice quavering. "Scarlett, I didn't understand my own heart back then." "Now, Hartwell, we can chat," I cut in. "Scarlett." I patted Adrian's hand to calm him. "Adrian, 2 minutes, 10, tops." 1 inch Hartwell, 1 Adrian, the distance between those names couldn't have been louder. The address felt like a blade sliding between Julian's ribs. He remembered when I used to call him Julian, Big Brother. When had we become this distant? Adrian's ego clearly liked the contrast. He lifted an eyebrow. "Hurry back, Scarlett." Inside a private office, Julian's remorse burst its dam. Red-eyed, he pleaded, "Scarlett. Julian, do you remember what you told me?" I met his gaze. "You said I was your little sister." He slumped against the floor-to-ceiling window, sunlight exposing every unshaven angle of defeat. "I didn't know what I felt." "And what suddenly enlightened you?" My tone stayed level. "Was it hearing I'd marry someone else, realizing I wouldn't trail after you anymore, that bruised your ego?" "No. I got engaged to Lydia because the Hartwell family needed the Lockwood connections," he said, reaching for my hand. I stepped away and his arm fell. "It's not pride, I just assumed I'd always stand in his shadow, always wait." I shook my head, laughing softly. "Hartwell, Lydia isn't the only one." "What?" "Since we met, your girlfriends could fill a dozen mahjong tables." "Were all of them good for the family business as well?" Words died in his throat. "The past is the past. My dictionary has no entry for eating old grass. Lose something and it's gone, some things can't be reclaimed. I'm engaged, and I'll be married soon." Fury flashed across his face. "Adrian's a dirty, underhanded thief. He sabotaged Hartwell, otherwise yesterday wouldn't have what?" I frowned. "You'd ruin my engagement and turn me into Eastbrook's joke?" "Stop, Julian. Impossible. You loved me so much, that was then, not now." My voice stayed calm. "Now, there's zero feeling left. Julian, you've wrapped your final scene in my life." "No, I don't believe, Scarlett, enough." Adrian pushed the door open. "Wang, see our guest out." After Julian was escorted out, silence swallowed the office. I lifted my eyes and found Adrian studying me. "What are you thinking?" he asked. I shook my head. "It feels a little unreal." He chuckled, fingers tipping my chin up. "How about this?" His lips met mine, tender yet restrained, and my heart hammered so hard I felt it in my throat. When he drew back, my knees were jelly. "Real enough now," he murmured, laughing low. Face burning, I nodded, just in time to hear, "Then I'll keep making it realer." I sat on the leather sofa in Adrian's office, cradling the matcha frappuccino he'd ordered Wang to fetch, my mind drifting 8 years back. That graduation ceremony, I really had danced green. The school had rolled out the crimson carpet from the auditorium clear to the gates, flown in hundreds of floral arrangements, and packed the place with trustees. Rumor said some titan was coming. Who else could demand that kind of fanfare but Eastbrook's own crown prince, Adrian? Julian, back then, lounged in the front row reserved for student speakers, flirting with their class from the entire performance, sparing the stage only absent glances. The moment I exited, I overheard his classmates. Julian and prom were officially an item. What are you thinking? Adrian's voice reeled me back. I glanced up. He had closed the last folder and was leaning against his desk, haloed by afternoon sun streaming through the wide windows. I was wondering. I hesitated. Why you ever liked me? A soft laugh. Because you're Scarlet. I huffed. That's cheating. Then what answer do you want? He tilted his head, eyes smiling. That you looked breathtaking dancing? Or that you pretend to be bulletproof, then cry where no one sees? I froze. How could he know? 8 years ago, he went on, every time Julian dated someone new, you'd hide in the rehearsal room and cry. Heat scorched my cheeks. All those secret heartbreaks I thought were invisible, he'd seen every one. So, he brushed away a tear that had sneaked free. I knew you deserved someone better. Staring at his handsome face inches from mine, my heartbeat turned deafening. Adrian, I whispered. His low reply vibrated beside my ear. I summoned courage, we could try. His gaze darkened instantly. Try what? Try. I bit my lip, more than a contract marriage. He went quiet for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. The brilliance of it made it impossible for me to look away. Scarlet, he said, pulling me into his arms. You finally figured it out. The instant his lips touched mine, I shut my eyes. This kiss was fiercer than any before, charged with longing he'd kept caged for years. It left me boneless, sinking against the broad shield of his chest. Sterling. Wong's voice drifted in from the corridor. Adrian let me go, his voice husky. What is it? The strategy meeting is about to start. Push it 30 minutes, he answered without hesitation. I shoved him, cheeks burning. Go to your meeting. No rush, he murmured, bending to my ear. Let me hold you a little longer. When the session finally began, the board's gossiping eyes flicked to the undone top button of Adrian's shirt, and the perfect bite mark beneath it. Adrian looked perfectly composed as he fastened the collar at last. Forgive me, I'd angered my wife, and she played a little inside joke on me. There wasn't a trace of apology in his expression, he looked like a man who'd just had his fill. The board members, fed a face full of marital bliss, ribbed him that the newlyweds' bond was unbeatable. By the time we left Sterling and reached the Sterling waterfront mansion, night had fallen. Adrian led me by the hand into the great room. Green had dinner waiting. Candlelight quivered, softening the angles of his profile. Wine, he asked, sliding my chair out. I nodded. A little sounds good. Adrian took a small ceramic flask from the bar, antique paper wrapped around it. Just brought this from the estate. Years ago my parents hired a vintner to craft a Jianling Spring for my wedding day. Surprise flickered through me. They had it made for your marriage. He inclined his head, tenderness pooling in his eyes. But whether it becomes the wedding wine is still Scarlet's call. He poured 2 glasses and offered me one. Taste. I curled my fingers around the bowl, feeling the cool porcelain, then breathed in the scent, fruity, intoxicating. A sip coated my tongue with honeyed sweetness. It's delicious. One more? His brows lifted happily. You can have all you want. The dining room ambient lighting had been dimmed, a few candles wavered between us, throwing twin halos on our faces. Adrian set his glass down, gazed gentle on me. The room blurred, smiling, I giggled. Adrian, I see double of you, don't move. Are you okay? He asked quietly, concerned. I wagged my head, voice syrupy. Fine. I can still drink. I reached for the glass, he caught my wrist. Enough, you've had plenty. His tone was soft but final as he rounded the table and rested a hand on my shoulder. I stared up, drowsy yet trusting, and mumbled, stingy, won't even let me drink. Meeting his eyes, so deep I felt my heartbeat stutter, he bent and kissed me, slow, lingering. I closed my eyes and let the current carry me. When he pulled away, the wine had numbed my limbs. I'm sleepy, carry me to bed. He chuckled, slid an arm under my back and another beneath my knees, and lifted me with no effort at all. I nestled my head against his chest, lulled by the steady drum of his heart. Corridor ambient lighting stretched our shadows until they merged. I shifted. Am I heavy? He glanced down, smiling wider. Not at all. You're too light, eat more. I said nothing, only burrowed my face closer until my breathing leveled. Adrian nudged the master suite door, laid me on the king-size bed, eased off my shoes, and tucked the duvet around me. Sleep well. As he turned, I caught his sleeve. Stay. He hesitated, then sat and folded my hand in his. All right, I'll stay. Pleased, I drifted off, moonlight washing over me. He brushed my hair back and whispered, "Good night." The days that followed fell into a quiet rhythm, Adrian at Sterling all morning, racing home to share dinner with me. When I discovered the private ballet studio down the hall, he grinned. Dance is your passion. If you want it, this is your stage. I faced the floor-to-ceiling mirror, sea green leotard skimming my waist, bare feet planted on polished wood. Classical strings floated from the speakers, and I began Green, the ballet I'd danced countless times before. As the crescendo swelled, I spun, and glimpsed a silhouette. Another pirouette, and Adrian was leaning against the jamb, eyes warm. Back already? I halted and walked over. He opened his arms, and I walked into the cedar scent of him. You dance beautifully. How long were you spying? I pretended to scowl. From your first fouette. He tapped my nose. Tired? I shook my head. Tonight it's a private performance, just for you. Then I'd better reward the ballerina. He kissed me, and I rose on point to answer him. On our wedding day the ballroom bloomed with roses and candlelit aisles, guests overflowing the seats. I circled the crimson carpet on Adrian's arm, toasting table after table. At one turn I thought I saw a familiar figure stagger away, but the crowd shifted and he vanished. Scarlet? Adrian asked. Nothing, it was probably a trick of the light. I shook my head. Likely just a stranger. He lifted my hand and slid a solitaire the size of a small nation onto my finger. Marry me, Scarlet. I smiled through tears. I do. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.